Vinny, I'm just learning through a source familiar with the investigation telling me that there were two human remains found on the property of Chad Daybell today during a search warrant that was executed starting at 7 a.m. this morning. And that is what the breaking news is, that two sets of human remains were found on the property. We're expecting to hear from Rexburg police at any time on the latest in this investigation. But what we do know is that Chad Daybell, the husband of Lori Vallow-Daybell, was arrested earlier today around 11 a.m. He has been in custody. He's being held at the Fremont County Jail. His wife, Lori, held at the Madison County Jail, neighboring jails, while the sheriff's office there in Fremont County is not releasing what charges he's being held on. They will say that the charge or charges is a felony. He's being held without bond. And moving forward, this is a huge change in the investigation for the missing children, J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan, who were last seen last September. Both Chad and Lori not telling authorities where the children were. Lori sitting in jail facing charges of child abandonment, and now this huge development with charges for her husband, Chad Daybell, after a full day of searching his property, finding two sets of human remains.
We're taking a look now at some of the aerial views of what was taking place in his backyard, and we're getting word right now that at the bottom of the hour, Rexburg PD scheduling a press conference to give us even more information relative to this case. So stand by for that. We'll carry that for you live here on Court TV. Bottom of the hour, the absolute latest in the investigation from investigators out in Idaho. Chanley, this is, it's taken a lot of time to get to where we are right now. They did search his house once before, right? Back in January, they searched. But at that point, I'm sure the ground was probably covered in snow and frozen, and they didn't find anything relative to remains. But I'm wondering what they found then and what led them to these specific places in his backyard today.
Yes, that search warrant, we know as lawyers, has to be specific to what they expect to find on the property. And yes, this is the second time authorities have executed a search warrant on Chad Daybell's property, the first one being January 3rd, right in the wintertime there in Rexburg, Idaho. And we do know that based on what that warrant, authorities were seen taking out of the home reportedly, 43 different items of evidence. Who knows if maybe some of that evidence gathered back then in January was processed that led them to a second search warrant executed today. That's yet to be seen because the warrant today was filed sealed, confidential. So we don't know exactly what they were using or what exactly they were looking for. We just know what resulted so far, and that's two sets of human remains.
Chanley, as this case is developing and word is coming out that remains from two different humans were found in the backyard. All right, Lori Vallow-Daybell is locked up. Do we know whether or not she even knows? I mean, here in prison, I don't know if you necessarily get the news. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But has she released a statement? Do we know what she actually knows at this point? Any information like that?
We don't know exactly what she knows at this point. We know Madison County, Fremont County, it's a small rural area. I'm sure word travels fast there at the county jails. Who knows if she actually is aware of what's been going on today. We do know that she was represented by the same attorney as her husband, Chad Daybell, before this time. Mark Means, who we saw represent her in the recent bail reduction hearing, that was unsuccessful. And so now with Chad facing criminal charges, we know it's an ethical violation to be represented by the same attorney. So it seems as though he has his own attorney now. They're separate. Not sure how the lines of communications are happening, whether Lori knows anything. But if I was guessing, we as former prosecutors would probably be talking to whatever lawyers or representatives of these clients, trying to find out what they know. Will they talk to us? Will they work against each other? How can we maybe settle this, or how will this move forward? What more can we learn now that both are facing criminal charges?
All right, let's bring in the rest of our team. Court TV anchors Ted Rollins and Julie Grant joining the conversation now. Julie, the reason I was asking about Lori Vallow-Daybell is potentially, she's locked up now. There could be conversations, and I'm wondering, a lot of people may be wondering, did they get the information from her? Is it possible? Do you think it's possible, Julie, that she perhaps could have given up this information, or she is just sitting there and learning it like everyone else is learning it?
Absolutely, that's possible. This could have come from her, could have come from one of the other relatives, could have come from those items seized when the first search warrant was executed. Anything is possible. And I kept thinking today, Vinny, with this new development, with these now 2 sets of human remains found at the residence of Chad Daybell, Cult Mom's husband, I keep thinking, okay, all along, we know he's lawyered up, hasn't been saying a thing, but now that he's in custody, presumably being questioned, or at least there's an attempt to question him, is he going to lawyer up, say, no, 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 talk to my counsel, I've got counsel, not going to say a thing, or is he going to say, you know what, I'm going to talk now? I mean, these two, we know they have a marriage, but to me, it seems more like an unholy alliance between Mr. Doomsday and Cult Mom. And nothing would surprise me if now with this horrific development, if they're going to both start pointing the fingers at one another. And who knows if maybe some more charges are going to be filed against her tonight too, Vinny. We got that press conference coming up. I can't wait to see what authorities say.
Yeah, Ted, if they're going to be pointing fingers, my guess is they're going to point the fingers at Uncle Alex, but that's just what I think they're going to do. But well, Ted, let me tell you, Ted, the thing that doesn't surprise me about all this.
What's that?
Yeah, because and he's dead. I mean, everyone who is dead in this case, in this entire thing, think about it. Charles Vallow dead at home, right? You've got Tammy Daybell dead at home. Alex Cox dies at his home. So it doesn't surprise me where remains have been found, because nothing is happening far away from where anyone lives in this case.
Yeah, there were the reports that maybe this was done at a national park, but yeah, it makes more sense, doesn't it? And it's so sad that the breaking news that Chanley's reporting 2 sets of remains. It's very likely that it is Tylee and JJ. I don't think these two are going to break from each other yet, though. I think that Chad has had enough time he knows those bodies were in his backyard. He knows that everybody's looking at him. They've been able to withstand the pressure till now. I think they're going to stay together in silence until this post-July 23rd date, comes and goes. Then maybe there's an opening, or maybe tonight. Maybe tonight is the night that Lori cracks. Chad's not going to crack. I would be shocked if he cracks.
All right, Chanley, Ted, Julie, we're going to continue to cover this story. Developments coming at the bottom of the hour. The latest from the Rexburg Police Department. They're going to have a press conference. We'll cover it live here on Court TV.